Hello and welcome to my vlog. This is vlog 013. Audio looks good. Video looks okay. Alright. Today I am vlogging a little bit differently. I'm not going to be playing a game. I will be doing like a Let's Play and Let's Code videos. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night, maybe some other day. Who knows when it will come out. But today I wanted to talk about my 2018 goals. And actually, along with my 2018 goals, I wanted to talk about how I want to do things differently. How I want to do things differently and possibly what I did right this year that kind of changed my mind about certain things. So let me go ahead and pull up my notes. I'm sure you all enjoyed the clicky clacking of my keyboard. I've gotten loads and loads of feedback on that ever since I started doing videos. Ooh, there we go. So one of the big things that I focused on in 2017, and you can listen to my vlog 012 to, I guess, get more info about it, was prioritizing self-care over projects, over reading, over other things. And self-care isn't just, how did they describe it? There was an article recently. Self-care isn't just drinking wine in a bathtub, right? Self-care is about improving the quality of your life. And improving the quality of your life leads to improving basically everything along the way, right? So like one thing that I talked about was getting enough sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, even though you get that maybe let's say an hour extra or 2 hours extra to work on whatever project, that has diminishing returns, right? Like you can do it for a few nights and then you're done. If you do it for like a week, your productivity during the daytime and otherwise is just gonna plummet, right? And not just that, but if you do get those 8 hours of sleep a night, it improves your productivity everywhere else. And one of the things that I like to always focus on is not how I can spend more time doing things, and you'll see, productivity blogs talk about, well, this is how you can like take your time back, or what is it? How you can get your time back while driving your car or something like that. Basically, how you can recycle wasted time to do something for your project. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's great to have separation. It's great to have focus time, and it's great to have time that you don't do certain things. Doing focus time, sleeping well, doing all these things together, it just helps you work on your projects more than if you spend a ton of time on your project, working 60 hours a week and staying up all night and so on. So I've been prioritizing that kind of stuff. It's gonna sound silly, but I did start working out last year, but I worked out for only 3 or 4 months, and then my son's sleep went to shit, and and that basically meant that I would stop sleeping for like I'm still not sleeping, so like 3 months of really shitty sleep, and that completely threw me out of whack. And I had several events happen this year where I went from super productive to unproductive, but I did working out for 3 or 4 months every day, which really helped me feel better, and now I feel kind of bad for not doing it anymore. I did start prioritizing sleep. Even if I don't get enough sleep, when I know that I'm not gonna get enough sleep, I don't push it. I don't push, like, even if I haven't worked on my project today, like, fine, I'm just gonna let it slide and I'm gonna keep going another day, and I'm gonna go to sleep. That's been a huge thing for me. I've also just, I don't know, I don't want to say allowed, but I've had a lot of my friendships kind of blossom out. I'm gonna get on my phone. It's kind of funny, right? I get a message and I just want to check it. Yeah, nobody cares. Alright. I've allowed my friendships to blossom and become just deeper, I guess. I've made a lot more friends in the past year than in a long time. I gotta say, that's been pretty much like the best thing ever. I feel better about that than anything else that happened, that I worked on in the past year. When I say that, I'm gonna put parenting and having kids aside, because like I don't want to devalue them. I mean, they're like the best thing in my life, but outside of my kids, having great friendships has been just amazing. One other thing that I also did last year that worked out really well for me is I feel like I improved at work. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I've been working at this one company for, well, it'll be 3 years next month, and the first year, I worked really well. The second year, or I would say the end of the first year, and then like I would say like the first half of the second year was a little bit stumbly. It was difficult to figure out where I'm working, what I'm working on, where I'm going, and solutions and whatever. And this year, I took the time to really nail down planning out my projects at work, being communicating with my team and with my boss about things, and that's done wonders for. I think it's probably influenced positively all of my work, but it's done wonders for me about how I feel about working. And I don't want to say that I don't enjoy my work, but doing work in such a way that I feel like I'm on task, I'm accomplishing things, I'm being productive, and I'm bringing value to work, and I don't feel like I'm behind or whatever. I've always had this imposter syndrome. I always felt like I was behind. And improving my work ethic in such a way that eliminated those things was a big deal to me. It improved it lowered my stress levels, that and friendships and all this. Everything, like just this year, my stress levels have been through the roof because my son was born like 8 months ago. But these things that I've been doing have been kind of like calming things down. And I'd like to continue that. Now you can see on the screen, I'm sharing my desktop, and I actually don't have goals in mind. I wrote out a few things, but it was just like off the top of my head, whatever shit I could come up with. And I realized I don't really have specific ideas of what I want to do next year because I'm pretty happy with what I did last year, even though you'll see on my left list, I accomplished like maybe a third, fourth, or maybe like a fourth of all these things. I never did NetHack. I dropped out of FCC, which is the free code camp. I stopped doing it. I really want to get back into it, but I don't think I will. It's a great program. I just I got stuck on projects, and I want to learn, and I want to do these projects, but I also don't want to do these projects because the projects are, I think, like the most annoying part for somebody who's not a beginner, right? Like one of the projects is building out a Wikipedia search or whatever, and I'm like, I can do that. I can do that in my fucking sleep. I just don't want to spend the time on it. I'd rather work on some other product that I'm more excited about. And at the same time, I can't get myself to ignore it. Like, I did the first couple of projects, and I did them really shittily because I'm just like, I want to fucking plow through this and be done with it. Let me show you guys. Let me show everybody my code pen this year like blew up too, which has been wonderful. Log in with GitHub. Hopefully that works. No. Oh, existing access. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not creating a new account. Yeah, that's my old picture. That works. Your dashboard. Wait, where do I look at my own pens? Is this it? Alright, slightly unexpected intermission. So, let me go ahead and adjust things. It's nighttime. My last video got interrupted with my daughter waking up, and it's been a couple days, and I haven't had time to actually finish this video. I'm gonna go ahead and readjust my seat real quick. It's kind of like this awkward start of the vlog. So, and I still have my same coffee, or not same. No, not the same coffee. Same coffee cup, and I'm drinking it and whatever. And I was talking about all the different cool, I don't know, pens that I started working on, and I wanted to showcase a few of them that I've made in the past year. I'm not sure why exactly, but it's just I've been doing a lot of code pens, and I've been really enjoying it. Let's see. Let's just see what these are. I don't even remember most of these. Boom, boom, boom. All right, what is this one? Oh, that's right. I wrote an article about building your own Redux-like library. Okay, well, who cares? Skate.js. I think I was playing around with Skate.js. Never really got anywhere. Oh, and I was building my first canvas animation, which is pretty cool. Check that out. I have never built anything WebGL, any canvas stuff, none of that. I've never built anything like that, so this was actually really cool to, you know, render a ball and move it around the screen and everything, which, yeah, I'm just a huge fan of that. Game movement, okay, let's see. Which keys? Okay, so it's a WASD. Alright, cool. So this was a cool thing that I started working on. I wanted to build my own game engine in JavaScript, just as a way to get into game development. I shortly abandoned it and started working with Unity, which was a lot of fun. I built a couple of the tutorial games, and I'm planning to build a few more. This is so cool. I'm just having so much fun with this. Do I have barriers? Nope. No bounds. It's interesting. I thought I had a bounded box. Huge fan of that. This was a huge accomplishment for me, because it basically means that I understood how the update loop works and how to render the current state and so on. What is this one? No, nothing. How come? Oh, this one actually just captures the key input. All right. Well, let me just let me do one more. Oh, I talked about the free code camp projects. And how those turned out. Yeah, let's do a couple more of these. Wonder why there are so many of these that I have. Like why I have, yeah, it's kind of weird. All right, cool. So, yeah, nope, that one doesn't work. Oh, here's the weather. What happened here? Okay, that one doesn't work either. This one works? Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember rating this. So the UI looks like shit. And FreeCodeCamp said, hey, you should polish this as much as possible. And I didn't want to. I really just wanted to get it out of the way. And like I said in the in the morning part of this vlog, I can code this stuff in my sleep, and I did. I mean, I did, but you got the wrong city. But whatever. I think this is like as close as you can get to my location. Yeah, so I just wanted to do like a proof of concept, and I know I can style things and make them look good. So I guess I didn't really bother too much with it. Three.js, this was the first time I've dealt with Three.js as well. So I did a rendering of a moving cube. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, random quote. I remember that. That was another FCC project. This one I don't believe is gonna work anymore. Yeah. So I listened to a podcast called New Game Plus, and one of the key components of New Game Plus is that there's this master list of games that the podcasters, the hosts, randomly select from every single week, or most weeks. And sometimes there are exceptions when they have a guest or something. And it was really difficult to figure out, is the game old enough? Is it not? When will it be old enough? So I built this nice little app that, you start typing in a game name, and it will give you the results from it, from IGDB, which is the Internet Game Database, I guess? I think that's what it means. But it doesn't work because they changed their API. But I did build a Discord bot that does the same thing. Let me just actually show that real quick. Yeah, so you do ngp check, and this is open source under my account. You put in the name of the game, so Final Fantasy VII, and it will fetch all this data: the thumbnail, the game name, if it's eligible, if it's 15 years or older, and if it's in the master list. So it'll actually go into Google Sheets and look through it to make sure that, is this game there? Is it eligible? And the green check mark means that it was already played and it received NGP status. Basically, that it's, even though it's a retro game, it's replayable and it's totally cool. Whatever. No idea what that is. And some other thing. All right, cool. So let's just, ignore this part. Let me go ahead and do this. And so here on the left, it was my original plan in 2017. Now, I originally wanted to talk about some of the things that I did right last year. And so let me actually pull that up again. And I think you know what, I think I've actually covered most of it. But I did identify, you know, I used last year for a lot of like self-reflection. And I think that was very important for me to do. And like I would basically write down, track issues like in my life, basically do an FAQ. The FAQ was actually amazing because I would basically look at, you know, if I have 5 minutes to spare, what can I do? And I would list out tasks. If I have a hard time getting back into work or getting back into a project, what do I need to do? If I have a hard time focusing, what do I need to do? And I did this like, you know, frequently asked questions for myself. And it was a really good guide because sometimes I would forget the things that really work well for me. Like, I don't have an example, but the 5-minute tasks really worked out well as well, because I would be like, hey, it's, you know, 4:15, I get off work at 4:30. What do I need to do? And I would look at, you know, 5-minute work tasks and just finish a few things before getting off work. Or it's, you know, 11:30 and I usually go to bed at 11:45 or something, and I have 15 minutes. What can I do for myself? And I would look at the tasks like, hey, you know, here are some chores that you can actually get done in the next 15 minutes, and you're going to feel productive and good. I also created like a nighttime routine and a morning routine and all these things. And that really helped solidify, I guess, understanding myself. And the more I feel like the more you understand yourself, the happier you can be, the more productive you can be. Productivity, I feel like, is not the end goal. Happiness is always the end goal, and I think being productive is part of that happiness. Now, when I say productive, shit, this is not supposed to be about productive. This is not supposed to be a vlog about productivity. But when I say productive, I basically mean that you're doing something with your life that you want to do. So actually, let me review these. I have some issues. Planning changes over time with learning. Can't stick to one plan forever. That's true. Plans are attached to hobbies rather than well-being, like gaming instead of yoga. I don't know what that means. Do some back up really quickly when they stop making sense. That's true. So like one thing that I notice is that when I get burnt out or things change in my life, I have this backlog of to-dos that I have to like purge. And it doesn't really feel good because it feels like I'm abandoning those tasks rather than realizing that I have headed a different direction. And all of that translates to how I want to do 2018. So 2017 was a lot of self-reflection. I'm really glad about that. 2018 is kind of like, all right, I learned a few things. Let's see if I can apply them. The FAQ, huge deal. If you do any kind of productivity stuff or my dogs are going like crazy over here. If you do any productivity stuff or self-help or anything like that, having an FAQ of like how you work and how you understand yourself to work is pretty major. I really, really, really recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and write it down. I'm going to go ahead and write down a to-do for myself to do a vlog on just a self FAQ. Vlog ideas. It doesn't have a priority. What is it? It is you can hear my phone. All right, cool. So I created a new task. Sweet. So let's talk about next year. Finally. So one thing before I head on to that, I wrote this article on my website. Oh man, I gotta get rid of this stuff. These are outdated. Called Notes on Productivity, and I went through a bunch of productivity posts that made an impact on me, and I wrote down some of the notes from there. And this is more for me than for anybody else. I started using my blog as more of a platform for myself than anybody else, and that's made a difference as well. And one of the cool articles that I've read is called 200 Productive Hours a Month. Man, people need to stop texting me. And it's called How I Got to 200 Productive Hours a Month. And 200 hours sounds like a lot, but it also sounds like only little. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like a lot, but it sounds like not a lot at the same time. 200 hours is about 200 divided by 4.5 weeks. Well, let's say 4 weeks, so that's about 50 hours of productive hours a week. That's a lot of fucking productive time. And in my notes, I even mentioned, I want to get only 100 hours, I'll be happy. yeah, and I go through the math and whatever. But a few things that really stood out to me about this article, I want to apply to my life, and that is setting up a distraction-free environment. You can't see it, but my office is a huge fucking mess. I have an empty cup that I drink water from over here. I have a plate that I had, like, what is it, pretzels or something on earlier. I have a jar that I drank water from a few days ago, but I never returned it to the kitchen, so I ended up grabbing a cup. I have, I don't know, my museum membership card laying around here with my little Lego thing that I think my wife gave this to me a few years back. I don't know. I have my cool Bono-looking glasses for, computer work. I highly recommend these. They are like, if you ever use the program Flux to darken your, not darken, but like color shift your screen at night for like your eyes and whatever, so your eyes, I don't know, like it helps avoid eye strain. This will do it for you basically on any screen. But it also has, I guess, what do you call it? They're like reading glasses also, so you have an easier time looking at the screen and focusing on it. Anyway, so I have a bunch of fucking clutter over here. I got a bunch of clutter behind me. I got a bunch of clutter on the side. Here I have my dogs with me. I have a bookshelf back there with a bunch of shit. I have a bulletin board. I guess that's what it's called. And it's just a fucking mess. So one of the things I'm reading about is like, hey, you really should declutter your space. And there are studies, I never believed this, but there are studies behind it that say the less clutter you have around you, the more productive you can be, less stressed down, and so on. Anyway, so I went through these articles, I made some notes, and I realized that a lot of what has to do with happiness and productivity has less to do with like actually doing the productive things. It's about doing things outside of it to prep yourself or prime yourself for a more productive time otherwise. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Yeah, I recommend going through my article, going through all these articles if you want to learn more about like really cool productivity shit. Especially the first three articles, the 200 hours on tricking procrastination, getting it done, and how we improved our engineering estimates by 1,082%. Those three articles are amazing, and I also recommend reading my article, How I Stopped Worrying About Getting Things Done, because that was a big deal to me as well. One of the things that I felt really stressed out about the entire year was being unable to finish things that I wanted to finish. And the problem is that sometimes you need to abandon things because they don't make sense anymore. Like I said, you have a huge to-do list of tasks that have to do with a project that you're not going to do anymore because it doesn't make sense. You have to purge that to-do list, and then you feel bad about it because you never got that shit done. Anyway, so back to 2018. My huge to-do here is reviewing my own notes. But one thing that I came up with was this idea of having weekly sprints. So a few years back, I would say like 6 years back, I started doing the National Novel Writing Month, which means you focus on writing a novel in a single month. And that was hugely impactful on how I view. It was hugely impactful on me because I was able to write several books this way. And I realized that, if you have a focus for a month, no matter what it is, and you structure it the same way as the National Novel Writing Month, like building a community, having it on your mind constantly, non-zero days, constant progress, and whatever, you can accomplish a lot. But then I also realized that a month is a very long time and it's difficult to focus. And a lot of the times, except, for National Novel Writing Month, it's difficult to put all of your energy into a single project for a month because there are a lot of things going on in your life. So I wanted to come up with these sprints where at the beginning of the week, I come up with what I want to do for the rest of the week. At the end of the week, I review it, and it's just one task. I don't want to say I get ADD because I've never been diagnosed with it. I get very distracted and easily distracted. So having weekly sprints rather than a monthly project is a big deal, and having that structure is a big deal in in on itself. What is that phrase? Yeah, this is where my immigrant English fails me. In on itself, on in itself. No, I don't know. It's a big deal by itself. Yeah. As I was building out this idea of having these weekly sprints, I realized that there are a lot of tasks that are continuous for me. And as I started writing them out, I realized that my life is already full of a lot of tasks that I need to do or that I do without the addition of having these sprints on top of it, right? Like, so like my energy, or, you know, I have my parenting. Let's see if I can fill up this. My parenting is like, you know, this is much of my energy. Work, right? This much energy. These continuous tasks, this much energy. And then I want to add a project on top of it. And you can't even see where I'm pointing at. Well, that's kind of the point, right? Like it's way too much stuff. And so I'm gonna have to review this. But some of the things that I'll be continuously working on is writing blog post articles for Puckle, which is a Pokemon podcast. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, and I release an article every 2 weeks, and that's time consuming. It takes up, I don't know, anywhere between, let's say, 10 minutes a night to 2 hours if I fall behind and I just need to get it done all in one go. And 2 hours is a long time for me because I have a very strict and constrained schedule. I also want to do YouTube vlogs, and YouTube vlogs mean at best half an hour of my time, which is just recording things this way and uploading it without editing it, to at worst several hours of my work where I'm going to have to stitch things together in Adobe Premiere and trying to render it and then upload it and do all these things. So it's at best half an hour, at worst, you know, a couple of hours. And that's a lot of time as well. I also like gaming in my free time for entertainment, and I wanted to have gaming as part of my sprints. Like, I want to finish a game in a week. I want to finish another game in a week. I like finishing games, and I have a lot of games to finish. But that takes up time. And I also want to do finances and self-care and all this other stuff. I'm going to go ahead and close out this window here because it doesn't make sense anymore. That was last year. This is this year. So all this adds up, and I'm like, where am I going to find time for all of this plus some fucking project every week? And I still don't know. But it was a huge realization that just looking at it, that I already feel overwhelmed with the day-to-day stuff, without adding anything on top of it. Now, the thing is, the day-to-day stuff is the most important. Self-care, working out, meditation. My vlogs are very important to me. I wanted to do toggle time tracking. That's time consuming, but I feel like it's very important. I have chores that I'll always have to finish up. That's very important. I don't really know what I'm going to do with all of this yet, but that's okay. So unlike other years, I don't have concrete goals. I don't have any concrete ways of doing things because I want to figure them out as I go. And every single year I've done goals, about 2-3 months in, I realize, this is actually not going to work. I got to change it a little bit. And that's why I like calling them goals and not resolutions. Resolution, I feel like you have to keep the whole year, otherwise you're a failure, basically. Goals, it's kind of like, well, I need to pivot this because it doesn't work out anymore. So I'm going to look at this. I wrote out a few different sections of my focus stuff that I feel like is important. And all this is going to be pretty small, so let me just zoom in. Nice, big picture. So I broke this down in a few different ways. Productivity. One of the things I started using is the Eisenhower Square, I think it's called. Eisenhower Grid. That's right, Eisenhower Grid. And it's a grid of Eisenhower Grid. Eisenhower, it's the president, the former U.S. president. I don't remember when Eisenhower was there. World War II, maybe. That was like the highway, wasn't it? That was the highway system in the U.S. That's when. Yeah. Okay. So like after World War II, my bad. 1953. That's okay. That's, maybe like a decade after. I'm horrible with history, so if you're gonna get on to me for the fact that I don't remember when World War II was, then you're probably right to do so. So it looks like about 10 years afterward. And he did the highways and all that in the US, isn't it? Highway. Yeah, the interstate highway system was was realized under him. So the Eisenhower grid is the idea that you can separate all of your tasks into 4 different categories, or rather into 4 different categories. Is it urgent or not urgent? Is it important or is it unimportant? And it sounds kind of silly, but it kind of makes sense, right? Like an urgent important task is my utility bill is due tomorrow, and if I don't pay it, I'm gonna suffer from really high late fees. So that's urgent because it has to be done by tomorrow, and important because if I don't do it, I'm gonna suffer some bad consequences. What's a task that's not urgent and important? I need to change the oil in my car. Well, it's not entirely urgent. I don't have to do it tomorrow, but I do need to do it in the next month. So it's not urgent and important. I also like to call not urgent and important to be proactive, that you want to get these things done ahead of time because it helps you in the long term, but you don't have to do them right now. And I believe that I feel like that's the place where most people procrastinate. When it's not urgent and it's very important, you leave it for the last minute until it shifts into the urgent category. And if you want to be, I feel like if you want to be successful in your life, you need to basically minimize the amount of stuff that's in square 1 and maximize the stuff that's in, or do as much as possible in square 2. Now, what's urgent and unimportant? There is I feel like urgency in unimportant tasks is kind of the idea of there is a new episode of Game of Thrones coming out tonight. It's urgent. I have to do it today if I want to watch it, but it's not important because in grand scheme of things, Game of Thrones is a great show, but it's not, let's say paying bills versus watching a TV show, right? Like it's not that important. I like to play Overwatch, so the Overwatch season ends let's see, next week or something, right? So if I want to get as far as possible in my ranking, I have to play the game now. It's not important, but it's urgent. Now, unimportant, not urgent stuff is basically, I would want to say, wishful thinking about stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. I have a really hard time kind of imagining what those tasks would be, but what I usually categorize under that square, under square 4, are things like things I would like to maybe do, but it's neither important nor is there anything that's pressing me to do it right now. Like, I would like to redesign my website, but it's not really that important, and it's not very urgent. And the idea, just like the idea is that square 1 gets emptied out as quickly as possible, and you focus on square 2 with all of your efforts, square 4 should just be empty as well, because you should just erase that shit and be like, fuck it, I'm not gonna do it. If it's not important and it's not urgent, there's no reason for me to focus on it. If it's not important and it is urgent, that's distractions. Those are distractions. So square number 1 is like, you gotta get that shit done right now. Square number 2 is proactive. Square number 3, distraction. Square number 4, fuck it. And yeah. And so one thing that I want to really get good at is eliminating the urgent, important tasks as quickly as possible. And I tend to procrastinate on those more than on square 2, the urgent, not urgent, important tasks. So stuff like bills, I wait for literally when it becomes super urgent, literally last minute. Stuff like filling out paperwork for something, I wait until it's super urgent and I can't do it I can't hold off anymore on it. I would like to get it done and out of the way when it's either not urgent yet or when it's urgent but it's not stressing me out. The other thing I want to do is just focus on long-term growth tasks, and those are the square 2. Those are the urgent, not urgent, important. Now I use a task manager called Todoist. I've heard it called Todoist as well, which I don't think is right. And I set up labels for urgent, not urgent, important, unimportant, and I have filters that basically say, square 1, square 2, square 3, square 4, so I can view my tasks based on that grid. And I really want to clear this to-do list out as quickly as possible and focus on this one. Now, as far as my personal life, I want to focus on my health. Last year, like I said, I was working out for like 3 or 4 months straight every single day, and it was great. I want to do more of that this year, way, way more of that. Meaning I want to do it for more than 3 months. My son was born, and just everything, just I don't know, everything is out of whack. You know, it's a huge adjustment having a new kid in your life. So I would like to get back into doing this right. I also want to focus on my finances. This has been a pain point in my life for half a decade. I'm not great with finances. I'm bad at I'm not bad at math. I'm just bad at figuring out how to work with finances. You know, it's not like, you know, I'm pretty good at resource management in video games, and finances don't exactly work that way, because let's say you can pay for a bill and it doesn't go through until a few days later. So like imagine playing, you know, I don't know, Red Alert. Yeah, one of my favorites. And you put in a building and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and build these 3 buildings, and the money doesn't come out until like 5 minutes later, and you forget, you know, you're building units and you forget about it, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're in negative and you're like, fuck, what happened? It doesn't happen in real life. I don't go into negative, but it is something that I have trouble with, like forecasting how much money I'll have, knowing how much money realistically I have right now based on the bills that I've paid but haven't gone through yet, or based on the purchases that I've made and that I haven't gone through yet, and so on. And I started reading a book by Dave Ramsey called Total Money Makeover, and I'm really excited about that. That's gonna be like one of my big goals. I also want to work on my stress levels, and that actually has to do with finances a lot, because finances stress me out a lot. But it also has to do with my work life, and my work life has been much better, like I said, over the past year, and I just want to continue that. I want to continue not feeling like I'm in crunch mode all the time because of myself, right? Not because my work forces me into it, it's because I make decisions at work that push me to that situation. Kind of like, over-promising and not really being realistic with timelines. And once you start being realistic and not over-promising, you know, stress levels drop because everybody knows what to expect. Outside of that, I also want to focus on my writing. That's always every year. I need to finish editing my NaNoWriMo 2014. I wrote it in 2014. It's almost 4 years now. I just want to finish editing it, and I want to get it out of the way because it is just hanging over my head, and it's been stifling my creativity. I've been having trouble writing because all I can think about is I gotta edit this book, I gotta edit this book, I gotta finish editing this book. The other book that I want to edit is my NaNoWriMo 2016, and it's a young adult fantasy novel that I really enjoyed writing, and I don't think it needs a lot of editing for me to feel comfortable self-publishing it. It's not a good book, like it's not the best book, but I have a very low bar of expectations for myself for self-publishing my own books, which probably gives self-published and indie authors bad rap, but I'm probably going to self-publish it at some point this year, or some point in 2018. I want to query agents about this book as well. This is the first time I'm going to actually query agents to possibly get my book traditionally published. So I want to see how that goes. I'm kind of excited about that. This will be the first time that I do it. I queried for a few agents before, but I got like canned responses back. That's my cue that it's getting late. I need to wrap this up. I mean, this is a 30-minute video, just this segment, and the first one was 10 minutes. This is going to be one of my longest vlogs. That's going to annoy the crap out of me. I'm recording this, right? Yeah, I am. That would be so bad if I wasn't recording this. Then I wanted to look at coding. One of the things that I tried to set out some coding goals, like things I want to learn, and I don't really have any good ideas. I just want to finish a project or two. I really enjoyed doing that last year, writing a few small apps, writing a bot, writing, you know, some of these things, and yeah, like, you know, just writing some projects, and I would like to do more of that this year. And I have some ideas for projects. You know, obviously I have a paper where I discuss it. I think none of these are actually relevant anymore, but for the hackathon in November, and you can look at my vlog. It has hackathon in the title. I think it's like vlog 10 maybe, or 11. I came up with a few cool projects that I would like to work on, and maybe I'd like to pick up one of those. I also do want to do a site redesign. I just said it's not urgent and it's not important, but it's my site it feels a little bit dated. I want to rewrite it. I want to feel good about it, so I want to do that. Outside of that, more vlogs, YouTube videos. My YouTube videos have had pretty good success over the past year. Not my vlogs. I think that there's like 10 to 20 views per vlog, which is really not a lot. But my technical tutorials, my technical videos have, let's say, what was it? The async await video has like 3,000 views. My web workers video has like 300 views, which is actually pretty good for me. And my videos from before have several thousand views as well, from like 2016. So that's something I like to keep going. Now, getting into the details of some of these things. I don't know what my year-end goal is. How much do I want to have in savings? How much debt I want to pay off? But pretty much as I'm reading the finance books, I'm going to figure out what I need to actually work on. That's kind of the thing, right? Like with the sprints, I want to finish reading this finance book and figure out the total money makeover, and figure out what I need to do by the end of the year to feel good about things. Shit, it is getting really late. It's like 11:20. I wanted to be in bed by now. I'm breaking that. I was just so proud of myself for going to bed on time, and now I'm breaking that to do a project, which is exactly what I didn't want to do. That's okay. I think it's okay to do it once in a while. Health. I want to do like a twice a day simple workout. I know it sounds kind of weird, but spending like 10-15 minutes twice a day is actually pretty good. I would like to do that. And I want to go to the gym after I move. I'm gonna move in a few months. Right now I'm like half an hour from the closest, decent gym. That's too far for me. I can't like afford to miss an hour just by driving back and forth to a fucking gym. The place where I want to move to, there should be a gym within like 5 minutes, and that will be like a huge deal for me. Because then, if I want to do a half an hour workout, it takes 40 minutes with, including the travel time, which is good. Doing a little bit more meditation. So I started doing meditation before bed, and it's been helping me with sleep, with clearing my head, with the stress levels that I was talking about. And one of the things that I have in my notes on productivity blog post is like if you read through it, let me pull this up again. It's part of those 200 hours or whatever. Yeah, so like meditation for learning how to focus, but it does work for me for stress relief and for relaxation and all that, but I would like to use it to reset my mind, just like, yeah, here's the note for that. So I want to do more of that. I want to do more of meditation. If I feel overwhelmed, I want to be able to sit down for 5 minutes and center myself and feel a lot better. If I feel like I'm getting distracted at work, or my head is like a little bit fuzzy, I want to be able to sit down, take a breath, do the breathing exercises, and be able to go back to what I was doing. Cleaning actually is a big deal to me. I need to. I basically have bad habits when it comes to cleaning, when it comes to like the regular chores where you basically just automatically. Most people, I imagine, most people do things automatically, like clean, wash dishes, and put everything away, and I don't know, and do all these different chores without even thinking about it. And for me, it's like almost I have to create a project around cleaning my office. I have to create a project around it. It's not an automatic thing. I also want to do reading. I got a new Kindle for my birthday. My old Kindle got bricked. I am mad at Amazon and at Kindles because my old Kindle lasted 3 years. Well, it's actually a decent time. 3 years. It has no damage. It's small crack in the screen that you can't even see. It's like a hairline crack that messes with the backlighting a little bit. but no issues with it. It was a fantastic device, and then it stopped working and started boot looping. And I looked it up online, and they said, you know, the support forum said that, oh yeah, this sometimes happens to Kindles, and it's pretty much dead, and Amazon doesn't solve it, and they'll give you 20% off on your next Kindle, but that's it. And I was just so angry about it. Yeah, so I got a new Kindle. I've been reading a bunch of books. I've been reading the, what is it, Pragmatic Programmer, which is a really good book. I'm like halfway through that. 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. Love Haruki Murakami. Is it Haruki or Haruka? Haruki Murakami. Yeah, okay. Alright, sounds good. A few books on Golang, and I have that Dave Ramsey book on here, but I also have it somewhere, physical copy from the library. But outside of that, let's look at some of the projects that I did write out. So yeah, reading one book a month, I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's my wishful thinking. I used to love reading, like just constantly fucking reading. Like I think in my middle school and high school years, I would, you know, check out a ton of books from the library and sit down and just plow through them in the evening. I would like alternate between playing video games and reading, and good times. Anyway, so some of the projects that I've been thinking about, I wanted to transfer my thought essays blog to Hugo, which is a Golang static generated website thing, static blog, whatever you call it. Kind of like Jekyll, right? Like kind of like Jekyll. I think Jekyll is Jekyll Ruby or Python? Shit, I can't remember. But Hugo is pure Golang, and I played around with it a little bit. The only pain would be really just transferring all of my posts there, but I do want to do it because Anchor CMS, which is the CMS I use right now, I feel like I don't know. I don't think I need a database basically, like to do all the stuff that I'm doing. And I would love to just use something else. The new front end for the website, for my website, that would be great. There are tons of others. I'll just write that down because now I keep a list of project ideas, and let me pull that up real quick. Coding tasks, gaming. Nope, that's not it. Why don't I have it here? Notepad. Project ideas. Yeah, so I have a whole list of project ideas in Todoist, like let's see, a Discord tip bot would be great, I think. Maybe with like artificial currency. Doing a video on postmortems of my projects. A focus app that basically interrupts you once in a while to let you know that, hey, you should really be focusing on the task that you're wanting to focus on. Rewriting my monthly goals manifesto, writing an accounting app. I really would like to write that. I have a lot of ideas around that. Setting up a mailing list. Having like a readability extension. You can see in Firefox you have this reader view, and I really like that, but I wanted to create an extension that can do a few other things on top of it. This is really cool. I like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I have tons of others, and then there's the editing NaNoWriMo 2014, 2016, and then lastly, and with coding, I want to do more Golang, more Elixir. This is just copy paste from last year. Let me see if I can switch the view to webcam only, maybe. Nah. All right. But that's basically it. Sorry for it's a very long vlog this time. But I've just been trying to figure out what to do in 2018, and one of I keep making the mistake of just wanting to do way too much stuff, and then trying to stick to it and killing myself over it. So I hope that the 52-week sprints works out, and I hope that my continuous tasks get lower, and I'm hoping that these ideas that I have around, you know, getting things done, you know, I hope that works out. I'd love to hear about your 2018 goals. My 10, 15 viewers, however many there are, comment, let me know. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe you have some ideas about what I'm doing. And I think I'm gonna head to bed. Thanks for watching.